All right, Jimmy. I got it figured out now, buddy. Sorry about that.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, it's
And
right there.
hello everybody.
Well,
How are you
it's funny.
today?
I can't see without my glasses, right? And as I'm
Yeah, that
playing
makes
the
sense.
video, I
Yeah.
hit like I lost my mouse. Like it happens every
Right.
so often. I'm like, where the fuck's my mouse? And I'm like, I gotta
Hmm.
switch my. Then I
Yeah.
got another computer on my left, right? And I'm like, oh,
They're
let me.
ambidextrous.
Guess
Yeah.
what though? Supposedly the studio will be ready next week, but I've got a
Yeah.
little surprising news. I'm on vacation with the wife, so
Okay.
Jimmy, it's either you do the show by yourself or you go get a partner because you got to keep it up for us. So
Oh really?
and then we'll be back together
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
following week where we
Oh.
probably will have a special guest because it's been a while since we've
All
had a
right.
guest.
Does
So,
Benny know how to do producing? Because otherwise, unless you teach Benny real fast, I can't see how we're
no,
gonna do this.
Benny knows. Benny knows. He's probably better
Okay.
at it than I am now at this point. I
Well,
mean,
considering you just told the story about Mr. Magoo and my glasses,
well, dude,
yeah.
I'm serious. Like it
Yeah.
happens. Like, all right, so you understand the
Oh boy.
computer I'm looking at right now is was a very expensive computer that I dropped and I broke it. But the camera works. But like I can't
Oh
like the
well.
screen isn't the best, right? It's a crack.
Mm-hmm.
It's a touch screen. And on the left, I have a cheaper computer, but the camera broke on that one. So now I'm like going between computers. And I just went, dude, I literally just went into a panic because I couldn't find the mouse. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't get the show going just like I'm struggling to find the mouse on the other computer.
Nice.
Anyway, more
Nice.
importantly, let's tell everybody out there where you are because you happen to be in the fire zone of Florida right now, buddy.
Yeah. Well, where I am right now is in a little town called OPP, Alabama. We are here because, unfortunately, Hurricane Helene, or whatever the bitch's name is coming through where I am. Pretty much, we're on the outer edge of it, but I think the eye is going about 2 hours from us. Tallahassee's supposedly going to get mited. And Panama City Beach is in emergency mode, and they had a really bad hurricane about 6 years ago that totally fucked everything up. So
Well, how often
here I
do
am.
hurricanes hit Panama Beach?
Apparently too often for my liking.
Dude,
Yeah,
listen, man.
we've
I
already had
mean,
a tornado that tore down half the area. I've already seen that, and now we got a hurricane. And
maybe let's
you
talk
know,
about it. Let's talk
yeah,
about tornadoes, though, right? So
yeah, go ahead.
tornadoes from what I understand, only land on like flat land, right? If you have buildings and all that stuff, tornadoes can't seem to touch down. So is that where you live? It's like all flat land with like not a lot of buildings, or am I wrong
Uh,
with my
well, there's
evaluation of tornadoes?
well, as far as flatland, yeah, pretty much. I've never thought about it before, but yeah, compared to the hills of Long Island and stuff, like certain areas and stuff, oh, absolutely, this is as flat as fuck. So yeah, I would say so. Most of the buildings are down by where I currently work. At the right on the beach. You got the high-rise hotels and all that other stuff. And the other day they were boarding up. I saw them boarding up shit before I left. So it is what it is. This is new for me, leaving during a storm. I have stayed during every kind of storm. And yes, I do understand that this one is about 140-mile-per-hour winds. You remember Gloria? Uh, that topped out at 145. The hurricane that came through PCB 6 years back topped out at 160, 170. So
And
that
what
thing
is that?
was
Is that a
brutal.
category? Is that a
Well,
category
that
one at
sounds like a
160?
five. Honestly, the one from 6 years ago sounds like a five, if I'm not mistaken. And this one's heading towards a five. If it's got a 140-mile-per-hour,
So
that's pretty.
so it's five is the worst, one is the least. Then okay,
Yes,
all right,
correct. Like a
got you,
one
got
is probably your average. Like I don't. I'm just guessing, but I'm figuring once it hits 100 miles per hour, 80 to 100, it's definitely something to deal with. Obviously.
Maria
So
Davis says Jimmy Farrow be safe.
thank you. Oh yeah, I feel so safe in OPP, Alabama.
Alabama,
Oh
Alabama.
boy, I already found a
Um,
couple of abandoned buildings to play in though, so I'm figuring my shit out. What do
dude,
you know?
not to call out Phil, but like we were
Oh
talking last week. So Phil
yeah,
went to the wrestling matches
yeah,
with Gerard, right? Or
hmm
not with Gerard, he met Gerard there.
yeah.
And they had some kind of Gerard had sent me some stuff. I guess there's something called the Firehouse Six or something. I've got to look at the article again. So
So is
forgive me.
Gerard
There's
now? Is Gerard now calling Phil on a regular basis? What?
I don't know, but I will tell you this.
Okay.
Phil's telling me he's not hitting the gas. That guy is getting bigger by the day, dude. Every picture
Mm,
he's taking, he's like ripping
mm,
out of his shirt, man. It's
mm,
fucking crazy. And then
mm.
I guess he puts me on the phone with. So I'm at my nephew's wedding on Friday, right? So Phil puts me on the phone with our friend Matt Riddle.
No,
Yes, yes,
get
yes.
out of here. How
Matt
is
Riddle's
Matt?
like,
Is he
what?
okay?
He's like,
How's
what's
he
up,
doing?
dude? How
How's he?
things going, dude?
How's he
You know,
doing? Is he all right?
I don't know. It seemed all right.
Oh, okay.
But with the, hopefully we'll get him on the show and we'll get to talk to him a little
That'd
bit
be cool.
and
Okay.
talk about things we should never talk about.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
have to talk about it, right?
I Do we have to? I don't care either way. I mean, if that's what we do,
Come
we
on, you
do.
have to. There is history involved here. I
Oh,
mean,
you
there's a lot of
think?
history. Of
Do you
course.
do you think? I'm surprised he was civil with you. I would have been like, "You blubbery motherfucker."
What
When
do you
I
gotta?
fuck,
Why do you gotta call me blubbery for? Why do you
I
gotta
was
be like
I was
that?
trying to be creative. I would like trying to think what would Sean Penn say to you, and that's Matt Riddle basically. So there it is.
Phil says Riddle was cool.
I'm sure he
He
was.
was wearing a mushroom outfit. How much money do you think this guy's making now that he's on the
Uh,
Indies compared
I, I
to?
I I don't know. I wouldn't even try to guess. Do I think that he'll find his way and be successful regardless? Yeah, I kind of do. He's must be some sort of survivor. He'll figure it out. But unfortunately, the big money and the big opportunity, and at least he said it recently. Look, he kind of messed up. It is what it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
I've always liked him in the ring. I think he's great personally. Just
dude.
as far as his, I
He
think he's great.
is he
You know,
is.
even when we were going back and forth with him, I still look. I've learned to separate it the best I can. I still like Matt Riddle, the wrestler, and the promo and the whole shtick. I like Matt Riddle.
I was trying to
You know.
evaluate him with the old dude thing, but I
Hmm.
thought the best thing I saw Matt Riddle do in the WWE was that promo. And we're talking about promos. It's funny we didn't plan on
Hmm.
this, but it was
Yeah.
his thing with Seth Rollins when they were like going
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
That was off the hook.
I still think that it'll always be untapped, and we may never find out. But an evil Matt Riddle who drops the bro gimmick could have turned out to be unbelievable.
It's
You know.
funny. I don't really watch the Independents, but did he
Yeah.
do the bro thing before he got to the WWE? Was that part of
Not,
the
not,
gimmick?
not, no, not on that level. I mean, Vince, he sees something and he's like, "I'm gonna make you like Fast Times at Ridgemont High," which
Funny.
wasn't the worst idea. He did it very well. But no, he was more of a real legit badass. I mean, he had his background. He was pretty legit. People knew that for real. He'll fight you. He'll bend you into a pretzel. So I've always thought the evil Matt Riddle that never got explored could have been incredible because he's a badass. He is. He's a good wrestler. He's a tough guy. He's tough for real.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been great to see him drop the bro thing and just get evil.
Well,
And he's always reminded me of Sean facially. I can't help it. I'm sure plenty of other people see that.
that's the funny thing, though, Jimmy. I thought about that. It's like
Yeah,
it's got to be very hard doing this lightheaded, like hearted gimmick and
yeah,
not this tough guy. When in reality, you are a
yeah.
tough guy. I mean,
Well,
look,
it's the ceiling.
I didn't want to fuck with that guy.
It's the ceiling. You get stuck in that. And to his credit, he played it well. One of our favorites. Remember Elias? We both discussed it. We knew that the musician gimmick was going to corner him. He did great with it. When you think what Elias was.
Elias
Yeah,
was there with Phil too. I don't know if they're
yeah.
talking
Oh,
Phil.
was he? Did he play a
Yeah.
song for Phil? Like the Red Sox are out of the playoffs? I'm sorry, Phil. I'm sorry.
Phil.
You didn't deserve that. You're a good Red Sox guy. You're not a jerk about it. But I've been seeing some Facebook posts, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Now we're going to start counting the World Series and stuff like that. What have you done for me lately? So it's not you, Phil.
Phil wrote, "Ouch."
I'm sorry, Phil. Jim Rice still rocks, and I think Dwight Evans should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
save the Vince McMahon docu-series talk for the main show
All right.
because literally, Jimmy, there's a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to power watch it yesterday. I've been working a lot of hours, so trying to stay awake is difficult enough.
Oh, tell me
Um,
about it. Yeah.
yeah, right. So
Yep.
I'm on episode 5 right now, like in the middle, and they break it down by certain things. And
Okay.
yeah, I got a lot to I got a lot to say, and I'm sure you got a lot to say. And I don't know, man. I I feel overwhelmingly sad. I don't know why. Um, when it comes to the presidential race right now,
Hmm.
and this whole thing with Vince McMahon. Like again, me and Jimmy will bring it back to when I told you a story what my father said to me one Thanksgiving when the Atlanta Falcons were beating the Jets and one of the times they played them. And at the time I was always a Jet fan, but I was a Falcon fan. And my father said it when I was younger. He said to me, "Yeah, I'm sure the Atlanta Falcons care what you think." Right? He just drilled it down just like that. I'm thinking to myself, like Vince McMahon could give a shit about me.
Hmm.
Why would I even argue about it? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The two Nimrods that are running for president right now,
Hmm.
do they really give a shit about us? I don't give a shit. You know what I
No.
mean at this point. But it's like I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmingly just sad of
Yeah.
what's going on right now, man.
Well, in Vince McMahon's case, it's really more like what your memories are attached to. Okay, whether you're Mark Messier doesn't know us from a hole in the wall, but Mark Messier to me is like joyful when I think about Mark Messier because of what he accomplished in New York. When you think about Vince McMahon, you think about when we were kids, you think about when he was the announcer, you think about WrestleManias. I mean, we were young men when Vince was in the Attitude Era. We were, getting into our late 20s and stuff. But Vince has been like Steinbrenner has been for me over all these years. He's the head of a ship that's given me a lot of joy. Whether it be the Yankees with Steinbrenner or whether it be McMahon with the WWEF or whatever initials they happen to have at the moment. Vince is a hero to us because of what he represents, not who he is. And that always seems to get lost here. My father adored Joe DiMaggio, and when my father passed away, I put a baseball card of Joe in his top pocket. Did he ever know Joe? No. It's what Joe represented to him. Everything good, obviously. All of his childhood memories of going to the stadium. My father was poor kid in the Bronx, but managed to go see Joe DiMaggio. Joe was his hero. And thank God for my dad. Unlike our generation of heroes, my dad's generation of heroes are safe for the most part. Joe DiMaggio has not had every last nook and cranny ripped open. They've tried, but Joe is intact. Thank God.
Well,
Even
he's wait. To be fair, he's intact because of the time, and
right,
you know what?
right.
Our reporters,
A time
our
I prefer, by
leaders.
the way. A
Well,
time I prefer, by the way. All right,
they protected Americana.
because nobody needs to know everything about everybody,
Well, here's the
and I
thing.
think that that's part of the infestated
But
state that
Jimmy,
we're in right now.
here's the
Everybody's got to
thing.
know everything.
Short of murder
Yeah.
or rape,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're right. Some things just need to be a little bit forgotten. You know,
Yeah.
when I was let me tell you something. When you have the opportunity to watch it, and again, I promise we're not going to go much further on this because I really want to talk about the main show. But
Yeah.
when you watch the beginning on Jimmy, I was looking at it. Right, I was at the gym. I was on the elliptical, and I had this smile on my face because all everything that I grew up on. Listen, man, let me ask you something, right? When you introduced me to wrestling, right?
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I was a small kid, right? I was
No.
whatever. I was just a kid. I was a kid.
You were always a good sized kid though, and not but you weren't listen, most people don't know this, but this is the truth. You were in great shape in junior high when I first met you. You were in great shape in high school. You continued to be in great shape for years until your damn health problems started to give you some challenges. Okay. And that was in your 40s, for God's sakes. You were always in great shape. You were always slender. You're always muscular. You were fast as fuck. People don't realize that, but that's the truth. Okay. There was a lot of things you were, and that's what you were back in those days. So you were not, you know, Mr. Muscle Bound Egghead, on the football team. I'm not going to throw names out there, but you could
Right,
probably
right.
picture a few right now. You were an athlete, and you
Well,
looked,
I got
you
to
know,
tell you, when you introduced wrestling to me, it was a
yeah,
game changer to me. So I
hmm,
remember I thought it was a joke, and we always talk about this, but I
yeah.
thought it was a joke. But look, I wasn't a shy kid, but I was definitely not an outgoing kid, right? I
No,
was just like
you
whatever,
you
just
somehow
whatever.
assimilated into the middle, but yet you were on the popular side of things, if that makes
But
sense.
I would remember the time I was playing little league baseball. My father was always pretty jacked up, right? He
Oh
wasn't a
yeah,
juice editor, but he was built like a brick
no,
shithouse.
yes.
Anyway, the kids used to always say to me, "Man, look at your father. What happened to you?" Right? Again,
Oh
I wasn't
really?
a small kid, but they used yes. But
Wow.
I could remember the moment I was laying in my mother's bed watching wrestling
Okay.
on it must have been Spanish wrestling, right? Because it was in the afternoon. I don't know why I was
Right.
watching. It was in the beginning,
Probably Saturday afternoon on channel 41 or
right?
47. Right. Gotcha.
And Morocco comes on now. Morocco's new to the WWF. He's got those blue shorts with that gold lightning bolt, and his
Mm-hmm.
thumb is taped up, right? And they do
Yeah.
the interview, and he's like, "Put your hand," I
On
can't,
the
I don't remember,
screen.
on the
Right.
screen and feel the
Feel the.
electricity. And I'm
Yeah.
watching
Great.
this dude with this squiggly vein
That
in his
vein.
arm,
Right.
and I'm like, "Holy shit!" That started that day when I started lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they would speak,
Mm-hmm.
I would say to myself, "My God, I want to be like those guys.
Right.
They're strong and
Yeah.
they know what they're not afraid to say what they believe." There's a
Right.
lot of good in wrestling, and my whole back to the beginning now. It's due to Vince McMahon.
Coming from where we come from, and the time we grew up in the territory we grew up in, yes, it is due to Vince McMahon. Sure, that whole story you said is true, obviously. So yeah, Vince was definitely. Look, Vince is George. It's no different. Like I still remember driving around with my dad in the car, and on the radio, it was 1973 or so, 72, 73, and the radio came on and said George Steinbrenner had bought the Yankees, and my father was so excited. And then, I remember the anticipation. He made me wait, I think, 2 or 3 seasons until the new Yankee Stadium had been rebuilt. Remember when they didn't tear down the original structure, they rebuilt it.
Right.
So in 76, I finally got to go there. And my father was just in awe at the love level that the new owner had for the team. And he was raving about it. Look, my father was ahead of the curve, man. He was like, George loves this team. I love this new owner. So immediately I fell in love with the new owner. And what the new owner did for the Yankees, if you remember, CBS had run them into the ground. George Steinbrenner did a WrestleMania job on the Yankees. That's why they're worth what they're worth today.
Mm.
So I find that Steinbrenner and McMahon are very similar. If you grew up in New York and you were a little boy in the 70s and a teenager and a young man into the 80s, then George Steinbrenner and Vince McMahon are very parallel to each other as far as the things that brought you joy. This goes back to, we don't know these people, but they gave us incredible memories through the product they were offering. In Vince's case, the WWF, and in George's case, the New York Yankees. And they both turned the product into WrestleMania situations. Pretty much the Yankees became so much better for the better with George Steinbrenner.
But
You know,
why in today's society, Jimmy,
yeah,
are we not happy until we destroy somebody? At the end of this documentary,
I don't
again,
know.
I keep going back. They asked
Yeah.
the wrestlers what Vince McMahon's legacy is.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time this is all said and done, no matter how this thing turns out, this legacy is destroyed. It's
I don't.
destroyed.
I don't agree
Wait,
with that.
I'm gonna
You
challenge you
know.
then. I'm
Go
glad you
ahead.
brought up Steinbrenner because it's exactly what I was thinking today. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask you this. Do the Yankees every year on the birthday or the death day of George Steinbrenner have a moment of silence? Do they? I don't ever them hear them
What
even
they
bring the
have.
man. Wait, hold
What
on.
they.
I don't
Go ahead.
ever even hear them bring him up anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
that is a travesty in my
Right.
mind.
What they have for George is what no one really has outside of the original pioneers. There's a monument in Monument Park. There is not a plaque. There's a monument. All right. The minor league, not the minor league, the preseason field is now named George M. Steinbrenner Field. George's legacy speaks for itself. George at his old time. See, the difference between George and Vince is too old at this point in his life to be able to do more. When George was vilified to the ultimate, George came back from his suspension and many championships followed. They could give all the credit in the world to others, which would be Gene Michael, et cetera, and
Right.
that's
I was gonna
true.
say Stick
But
Michael
but
deserves that,
anybody
right?
who thinks for 2 seconds that George Steinbrenner was not involved in those decisions, even when he was suspended and wasn't getting phone calls or wasn't talking to people about what he wanted to do, considering he signed off on the bottom line on everything, is clueless. All right, it was still George's Yankees, and George took a little bit off the fastball. Doesn't get that chance. Vince is at the end of his
Here's the
life.
problem, Jimmy, and
Yeah.
this is what I feel. I feel very in our anybody's lifetime, Maria Davis, Jason, right? Foxhole Willie, right? Phil,
Mm-hmm.
right? The list goes on and on.
What's
B40,
up,
right?
everybody?
My
Yep.
it,
Yep.
our time span on this planet is very short.
Spec.
And if
Yeah.
you're lucky enough as a human being to be so special, there should be more than just a monument, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a wrestling fan, Vince McMahon made your life, and he always made sure that you got the performances you needed and wanted. He gave you
Mm-hmm.
one thing about a wrestling match back then till now. I don't know because I haven't gone since that woman's pay-per-view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you never left a wrestling match feeling like shit ever.
Right.
I've
Right.
left baseball games, boxing matches, basketball games,
Right.
whatever, feeling
Right.
like this sucked. What a waste of my
Right.
day.
Right.
Movies.
Right.
Vince never, when it was a house show, a pay-per-view, he always made sure you got your money's worth. And I
Right.
feel like at this point, you know, I feel at this point is like we have now it doesn't matter. It's over. Just like I feel the presidential the presidential race is over. I feel like that's over. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like after this documentary, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm not even done yet. And you know what? I got to tell you, when you watch what this guy has done, and you know what? He wasn't an easy person to deal with, I imagine, in some certain things, but
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's no coming back. It's over. Janelle
Right.
Grant got her piece of flesh for whatever she tried, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter about Vince going to jail anymore. Vince is done. They fucking
Right.
destroyed this guy. Today's wrestling generation, when they talk about Vince McMahon, they talk about garbage. Today's
Right.
wrestling fan.
Well, let them. Let them. It's not going to change history. If that's how they want to look at it, let them look at
It
that.
does
You
change
know,
history, though,
it's
Jimmy.
not to me. Not 100 years from now, nobody's going to give a crap what today's opinion was on shit. People change, man. We're gonna have the society 100 years from now. You won't even recognize it if it's still around. You won't even recognize it compared to how we look at shit today. It won't matter at all. What will matter is in the record books. People will look back and look at it 100 years from now and go, "Wow, this guy was in charge of the number one pro wrestling. If pro wrestling's even relevant 100 years from now, you know, wow, this guy was in charge of the biggest promotion for half a century, pretty much." You think that you're going to give two shits about a fucking like last minute whatever with Janelle Grant? Janelle Grant's going to be a goddamn afterthought footnote when it comes to the books on Vince McMahon 100 years from now. There's no, I'm sorry. And if she's the fucking forefront of what 100 years from now is about Vince McMahon, then that means we got worse and worse and worse as a society. Because, when you say it's all done, it's all over with, I say find new heroes. That's what I do. I go looking for
The
something else
problem,
that
dude,
lifts
there
me
is
up.
no new heroes anymore.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
is.
problem.
Yeah,
Who?
there is.
Who?
Greta Van Fleet. They're like Zeppelin. I'm happy. I thought that music was absolutely completely in the shitter. Well, guess what? Not completely. Look, you got to take what you can. You know?
But that's the problem, dude. This is saying take your wins now. Before it was like, what
Yeah,
happened to enjoying life? Now it's take your
dude.
wins as they come
I've
to you
I've
because you don't
told you.
have many of them.
I've told you before. At the age of 33, 9/11 happened, and I drew my life into two distinct fucking halves. Okay, everything post 9/11 to me has been the drizzling shits. All right, I've slowly watched society turn into a septic tank. Pretty much. Can we be fair? Now music is at the point where there's auto tune. Now I can watch artificial intelligence and see Aaron Rodgers say all sorts of things that he wouldn't normally ever say. Dude, get the fuck out of here. Okay? I'm going to stay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay organic. I'm going to stay real. And I'm just going to laugh when the one day when all the phones go out and all the power goes out and everything goes out. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to be like, good, good. Now you all can't stare at your phones. Ha ha. I'm like that. I'm that guy. You know what I mean?
All right, with that, Bully
Yeah.
Ray, your friend of mine,
God.
mentality that he hopes that WWE adopts in lights of the Jimmy J Uso Intercontinental win, and we'll get into that. But our friend Bully Ray
Yeah.
says, I hope they readopt anything can happen at any time type of scenario,
Mm,
Bully said.
okay.
Nobody on Ontario thought they were getting a title change last night, and they did. I want to be able to go into Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Dynamite, no matter what I'm talking about in the
Hmm.
wrestling business, and see that there's always a chance where the title can change hands. Jimmy, thoughts on that comment? Well, first,
Well,
before you go into that,
yeah,
were you shocked that
no,
we spoke about it last week? We were like, either which way they're in trouble.
right,
It happened.
yeah,
What were your thoughts?
that figures. And then I read afterwards, it was like, well, everybody, I saw a review, everybody went home happy. By the way, I didn't always go home happy from
Uh,
wrestling matches,
uh,
Mike. I didn't always go home
yes, you
happy
did.
from wrestling matches, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember one time we went out to
Why?
the Barclays to see SummerSlam, and we spent good money and shit like that. And I couldn't wait to watch. Now, stay with me before I'm done with this story here. I couldn't wait to watch that card, and I watched a match I was really looking forward to: Lesnar and Orton. And Brock just decided to just beat him to death and make him bleed. And the match, it wasn't even a match; it was over, dude. You know how many people were angry afterwards? I was seething that we paid our money to see that. I was fucking furious. I was like, what the hell is Vince doing? And you got Mahal beating Nakamura. What the, which by the way, historically, that's been proven,
Well, no,
that
you
that
see,
was one of
that's
the
the
dumbest
problem. You're
things that
rooting
have
for
ever been done.
Nakamura, and you got pissed off about it.
No, 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 no. 20,000
That's
people did, and nobody wanted Mahal to have the belt, and it failed commercially and marketably. It was a failure, and you can look it up on anybody. They will tell you it was a failure. But anyway, let me get
I
back to
don't
my
think
whole
at the
thing.
time. I don't think at the. I don't honestly. I don't think at the time was a mistake. They were
That
going
was a
into.
horrible
They were
mistake.
going into
Everybody knew
India.
it that night, and everybody walked out of there like the air had been let out of everybody's emotional balloon. People were pissed.
Oh boy.
All right,
Oh
but
boy.
what? What?
Uh-huh.
What? Oh, they were though. Hey, you got to have some
I'm
passion
sure they
about what
were,
you.
but I guess what? You
They
can't
were.
always win. But were you
Let me
entertained?
finish the story. Was I entertained?
Okay,
Yeah, I was
go ahead.
entertained. But here's where it took years for this. But this is more credit to Lesnar and the shit that happened afterwards. That's kind of grown that whole thing on me. Like that Lesnar started to really beat him for real, and Jericho was in the back waiting for him. All that famous shit that went down after he did what he did to Randy. So at least I was there for something that historically is memorable. So there was that, but that took a while for that to sink in. I was like, yeah, well, there was that,
But you were
you
there.
know.
That's what I mean. You were there for historics, which is
Yeah,
great, right?
yeah, that was fine. But like I said, though, you don't always leave happy. You know what I mean? It depends.
Right, right. No, I
It
got
really
it.
it really depends.
So keep going. That's it. That's the story. That's
No,
the
that
end of
was
it.
that was a, what do you mean keep going? You're sitting there reading comments. Keep going. Oh, let's see
I
what.
am not reading comments. I'm
Well, what are
trying
you
to
looking at,
clear something.
Magoo? I see you clearly looking at something. The
I'm
hell's going on?
trying to
Put
clear.
your
Listen, I'm
glasses
trying.
on.
I'm
Put your
trying to
glasses
produce.
on, you blind bastard. What are you
I
doing
am,
over
dude.
there?
I am so fucking
This
blind
this
right
is
now. It's
this is
crazy.
just
All right,
unbelievable.
now I got to where I wanted to go.
Okay,
Okay,
good, good. Jimmy,
so
fill the
that's
air. Fill the air, Jimmy.
first of
Fill
all,
the air.
that
The hell?
story was not entertaining.
Well, that's your problem if you're distracted. I'm sure the folks at home are like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that whole thing was bullshit, right, Pharaoh? Right. There we go.
I got
Yeah.
to ask you though, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Of all the wrestling matches you've watched or been at, and they could be
Yeah.
on TV too,
Yeah.
what was the biggest surprise that made you the most excited when a title changed?
Hey, I can't think of one offhand that was like, oh, my God. You know, you got one for me?
I
I
got one for you, and I'm going
what
to
do you
show the
got?
picture. And to this day, it means the world to me. And it's
All
funny that
right.
we've become very close with this guy anyway, right?
Right.
This to this day was the best title change I've ever witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was younger, right? But when
Right.
they when the Soul Patrol beat the Samoans, dude,
Right.
I still remember every move in that match, and I did not expect them to win, right? Because
Really?
let's be quite
Okay.
honest, the reason I didn't expect them because I never, especially in the WWE, you never saw black champions, right? You just never
Mm-hmm. Right.
saw it, and it's like,
Right.
and I was
Right.
such big fans of both Rocky Johnson and Tony
Right.
Atlas at the
Right.
time.
Right.
It took me by total surprise, and the ending where when Albano hits him with the wood chair and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Tony dancing in the ring. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was to me it was amazing.
Yeah. The title change that I'm most fond of was the one nobody thought would happen, and I was the only guy in the room. Boy, did I clean up that night when Jericho merged all the belts. That was great to me. But, that wasn't like I guess that is a shock title change. Everybody else figured Stone Cold or The Rock would walk out of there that night. But,
That that
but
shocked
Jericho
me,
was the
Jimmy.
first one. Yeah. And I loved that Vince did that. They say Vince doesn't have vision. I mean, it would have been the safest thing in the world for the first one to hold the WWF and WWE and WCW titles to be The Rock or Austin. He put it on Jericho. That was very ballsy of Vince. I was the happiest guy in the room. I was like, I told you, Jericho deserves it, and he got it. It was an uneventful run with it, but at least he was the first to do that. So that was cool. But when I think of surprise run-ins, you're gonna laugh at me. But remember Paige's debut? Didn't she come in
Yeah,
and swoop the leg and win the belt?
yeah,
I was like,
that was
what the?
that that was.
That was
I
cool.
can't believe you're bringing that up. Wow,
I
that's pretty
thought it was good.
amazing.
Well, I like Paige. I'm a big Paige fan. I'm not a fan of syphilis or whatever's going on AEW. What's she called?
Soraya.
Oh, okay.
Syphilis.
I'm not a fan. I'm just, ugh. But
Oh,
her
by the
debut
way,
was,
I didn't have the opportunity.
yeah.
So, I like to compete. Jimmy likes to compete. And,
No, you?
on
No.
audio, the one goal I want, I don't give a crap what country it's in. I just want us to be number one on audio
Right.
one time.
Okay.
So we ended up coming up number 5 in
In,
Kenya.
in
Kenya.
Palestine?
No, Kenya.
Not Palestine? Oh,
Not
okay.
Palestine.
Oh,
Not Palestine. Not Israel. Not Palestine. Kenya.
yeah.
And
Okay.
like number 200 in all of sports in Kenya. What do you think of that,
What?
Jimmy?
What?
So I say kudos to you, buddy.
What kudos to me? What is the national sport in Kenya? I don't know enough. I mean, do they have a baseball team?
Ice skating. Ice skating.
Ice skating. Wow. How the hell did we wind up in Kenya? Hey, man, you hear those guys Monte The Pharaoh?
Well, the Monte. Wait, what kind of invitation is that? Like,
I have no idea. I'm just pulling one out of left field. Boy, those two guys are fucked up. Yeah, man.
Those guys are funny, man. Hitting past the Ducci.
Well, past the Ducci. Well, folks, we just became the number 500th show in Kenya. Past the Ducci.
Past the Ducci.
Well, thank you to
Monte
Kenya.
The
I
Pharaoh.
appreciate that very much coming from me and my partner here. Thank you, Kenya. Much love.
Thank you, Kenya. We got to hit number 1 in one country, though, dude. Like, I got to say, dude.
Haven't we gotten really close in Ireland? I mean, Ireland likes this. No?
Number three in Ireland.
That's getting really close,
in
Mike.
Ireland.
That's getting really close.
Dude, I want to just see.
What do you got?
I want to be able to make a video. Look out for number 1.
You know what I was wondering? Why don't you send some flyers over to Stu over, and he could like throw them on cars and bother people. You got to watch Monte the Pharaoh, you bloke.
Stu, by the way, I think Stu posted a video.
Rules.
I think both of our videos where you were on by yourself and I was on by myself is one of his, or if not his highest viewed videos on YouTube. What do you think of that?
Wow, what a view! Nice.
Boy, I don't know what my problem is. I feel like I got to pat ourselves on the back all the time. What a fucking idiot I am!
Nobody's telling me how good I am.
I go to I speak to Benny, right, and I'm like, hey Benny, we're number 5 in Kenya. You know what Benny says to me?
What?
Kenya listens to podcasts.
Oh, for God's sake.
What a dick!
Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what, though. It's
Meanwhile, that guy gets a charting in like Kismet or something like that. He's like, I'm number fucking 200 in Kismet, everybody.
Good news from Siberia.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Greenland.
Hey,
Dan and Benny are charting in Greenland now.
I would love to chart in Greenland if that's what's going on. Way to go, Benny. I mean, I would love that.
No, but he made me laugh because he's like, really? They listen to podcasts?
I can't say
I guess so.
I can't say I blame them. I mean, my reaction was, what's their national sport? And you say,
dude, it's 2024. What do you think they're doing over there? Do you think they don't have TV and radio?
I'm sure they do. I'm not thinking that. I just don't have any clue as to what the culture is over there. Now I'm going to have to look it up after this show.
That's how. It's like, what do you think they're doing over there?
Dude, I do weird shit like that. I'll pick like a country on the map and see what their culture is like, what their sports is like, what their, it's like, oh my God.
Wait a minute, big news just came in. Dan and Benny are now charting number 120 in Madagascar.
Madagascar?
Okay.
120?
Number 120. Yeah.
So confused. There's that many options in Madagascar. Now I
I
sound like
guess.
Betty.
I
I
guess. I know. I guess.
I
Lot of
you
wrestling
see?
in
You see?
Madagascar.
Betty's thinking logically. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, what the hell? What are the other 119 spots
Listen,
ahead in
listen. I'll be
Madagascar?
100% honest. If we're number one in friggin' Tibet, I could care
Right.
less. I'll be throwing that shit all over the place.
Right, right.
I don't care. I
This just
don't
in from
care.
Hezbollah, number one.
That's all. I
You're
don't
celebrating,
care.
and
That's
I'm just
right.
like,
I
oh my
don't
god.
care.
Yeah, the next
Because
week
then at
runs on
least
with
we could
the.
say we're the
All
number
right.
one podcast, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All
I
right. So
got you.
now that we got done joking around about
We're
that,
number one in Op, Alabama tonight. So.
Alabama. I
Yep.
gotta I
We
gotta get
home.
that imitation right.
Good
So I
looking.
called you because you didn't have a chance, and I said, "Hey man, did you see? Is vignette is that the right description of
It's
like
a,
it kind of is, right?"
yeah,
So I'm like,
vignette,
Jimmy, did
promo,
you see
whatever.
that vignette between Roman and Cody Rhodes? And he's like, no. I go, dude, check it out. You got to call me, but watch it from the beginning for when they're pulling the cars up and blah, blah, blah. So, Jimmy, please take it from there. Tell me what your thoughts were when you got to watch and share all your thoughts because I thought all of them were excellent.
Well, first thought is what the hell are they doing at Georgia Tech? That was, of course, quickly explained about Roman's, time there. Everything about the promo was great. It reminded me a little bit, as far as its cinematography and its presentation. It reminded me a little bit about, compared to when Taker and AJ had their filmed match. It was just cinematic perfection. The angles, the shadowing, everything about it was just perfect. The AJ Taker match was perfect. I loved that when that was a few years back. It reminded me of that cinematic kind of like deal going on. Um, I immediately thought to myself, "What?" And it's great too because Cody says it when he arrives. I thought to myself, 7 cars. As I see these cars coming up, I'm thinking that I really was. I'm like, 7 cars? You need 7 cars?
Little bit of
Uh,
overkill there, Roman, right?
right, right. But what it does is it enhances and magnifies the enormity of what Roman has become. Roman, when he was first being pushed as a good guy and the fans wanted nothing, might as well have pulled up in an AMC Gremlin. So here he is now, the Roman we know now, and of course, yeah, 7 cars. But I'm thinking to myself, you need 7 cars, and then of course you got the simple man, the everyman's man. Sure, the car's nice, the car's fancy, but he's earned that. He comes alone. And the way he drove in, great. So, I mean, you got the dramatic drive in. The music is very good. Like, we talked about that. I could have dealt with some more other choices, but it's fine. It served its purpose too. It really did. Uh, the face off in the field, the overhead shot. How about those overhead shots from above? As
Unbelievable.
they're, just
Unbelievable, Jimmy.
everything about it. But then, of course, the words get started, and it's just they were just so both magnificent at this promo as to what they did. Roman's facial expressions have gotten to the point where less is so much more with him, and when he does open his mouth, it's killer. The "you're in my way in life" is going to be one of those lines that we probably will use and talk about for forever, as long as we're around. It's
Can,
one of
can,
those
can I
great,
just stop you there, though? And I know we're
yeah,
talking about the end of the video.
yeah. I'm
But
jumping around.
that
Yeah.
line,
Mm-hmm.
and but then the pan back of him
Yeah.
walking from Cody,
Mm-hmm.
then the music hits.
Right. Right. I
That,
got goosebumps. It's dark
yeah,
in
me
here,
too.
but yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
And
love that you brought that up. And I mean,
directed by,
Paul Heyman.
wow, just incredible. I mean, Cody, the perfect face. Roman, he's the perfect heel, but you love him. I
So
love Roman Reigns.
let me
You
ask this
know,
question. So
he's almost even
I'm
not a
watching
heel in
this.
this situation. It's weird.
Well,
Go ahead.
I've watched it. I've watched it about 10 times, and I get to the point
Yeah,
where I was analyzing it. I don't know. Again,
sure.
I guess I got too much time to burn sometimes, right?
Apparently so.
And I'm looking at it, right? And I'm like, so Roman doesn't. He's still Roman Reigns. He's not
Yeah,
changing his character, his
yeah,
facial expressions, his
hmm
arrogance is all there, right?
yeah. It's all there. Yeah,
But the one thing I saw that was different was Cody was different, right?
yeah. Cody's
Cody
getting more
Cody
serious.
was showing a side
Mm-hmm.
that I felt like this guy's going to become like you already heard the story. I think is going to happen, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
Royal Rumble comes. Rock's going to beat Cody, win the title at Royal Rumble. Roman is then going to beat The Rock for the head of the table, become the world champion. But that's where it all changes. I think Cody is being poised to become a heel here.
Mm.
The things he said in that promo, he was very okay. Let's start there. I'm going to ask you this question: between the two, the back and forth, if you had to choose a winner of that promo, who won that promo?
Roman got the last word, so Roman got the last impression. Um, that was really on a scorecard. That's it still feels like 114, 114.
Okay. I felt this when Cody
Mm-hmm.
stepped in front of Roman and the way he was speaking to Roman, like,
Right,
hey, you played on the field here.
right,
Thank you for that. But then
right,
you went to the beach. And
right.
then when he
Mm-hmm.
says, I
Yeah,
told you you would be a chief with no tribe, I know you'd
right,
be a champion, whatever.
right.
And I was like, he is now I know. Okay. When Cody came to the WWE, Jimmy was a big fan, and Jimmy was still in New York, and he came to the house, and we were watching WrestleMania, and Jimmy's was a huge Cody guy. I
Mm-hmm.
always looked as Cody as Stardust. I have. I just always
Mm-hmm.
had.
Right.
What turned me for Cody was when he went into that cage match with Seth Rollins with his
Yeah.
torn pec. I said,
Right.
"Holy shit, this guy's dedicated. God bless."
Mm-hmm.
I'm. You sold me on Cody Rhodes. I was sold that day. Wasn't a fan, but I was sold.
Right.
Um, when Roman beats Cody first WrestleMania, I'm very happy, and I'm thinking, good. Roman's going to pass Hogan, and Hogan's my all-time favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I slowly am becoming a bigger Roman Reigns fan. I don't know why. It's happening, right? And I'm thinking, good, maybe Cody's out of the picture because they did the whole Brock Lesnar thing turning on Cody, and I'm like, he's done. But then you see it's kind of evolving again. But then The Rock comes. But anyway, long story,
Mm-hmm.
we know the history. Cody Rhodes wins the title. I and then I think I hate this guy again. I
Mm-hmm.
literally hate him. I hate
Mm-hmm.
his matches. I just hate him. I hate his stupid line. What are we going to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't why I hated him. I realized Friday night why I hate him. He's a condescending, spoiled punk. And that's the truth,
Twisted.
dude.
Look
He's
at
a,
you
he's
hating on the
he's
character.
he's a dick. Well, you gotta
Okay.
go. We gotta play kayfabe here in this moment,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. I'm seeing that.
he's
Yeah.
a dick, and you know what it was? I felt like it was like the bully who's been beating up on you
Yeah.
throughout high school.
Yeah.
Finally, you beat the shit out of him,
Right.
but now you're not going to let it end, right? You taught him his lesson. He's
Right.
sorry. No.
Dude,
Now I'm gonna become the bully. Now I'm gonna shit on you.
I really
That's what I felt.
I really think that you're, really in the deep end of the pool on the analyzation here over this promo. Okay. The reason why Cody was, and it all depends on the situation. All promos have to be most effective when they are in the situation. Roman Reigns, what did Roman Reigns first say to him? Basically, this is my city. He's talking to a Rhodes, dude. All right. It is not your city, Roman. Okay. And that's where you got the steely resolve and the dark side of Cody Rhodes because he's not the American dream. He's the American nightmare. And I love that he showed this side of him because basically, when he said to him, you played football here. Thanks for that. By the way, right over there is where we used to tape. Right over there was the Omni. Right over there. This is my city. And if he had been like, oh, well, golly gee willikers, and been all like, goofy face about it, would have killed the whole promo. Cody can be very serious. What people don't remember about Stardust, yeah, Stardust was terrible. He never should have been Stardust. But if you actually looked at his promos, he was exquisitely good at them. Being this unhinged Heath Ledger type, Joker type approach with Stardust. It's a shame that Stardust was a joke of a character, but his portrayal showed that Cody Rhodes is a pretty damn good actor. Okay. So what we saw there was a very serious champion who's been champion for a while now being called out by the bully as you described Roman Reigns. Look, just because you got the one win over him, do you really think that Cody feels that that's finished business? Fuck no.
Wait, all
I
right.
don't
So
think so.
let me ask you this:
You know,
what is Roman Reigns' tagline?
acknowledge me.
Okay, think deep.
Yeah.
When someone
Not as deep as
says,
you.
but it's a serious conversation.
I
Let's
know.
get in. Let's get into the because this is how complicated WWE writing's gotten, and it's pretty
In a
impressive
good
when you
way.
think about it.
In a good way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When someone, right, Hulk Hogan's like, "What you gonna do, brother?" Right? What does that
Mm-hmm.
mean? What you gonna do when these 24-inch pythons go wrap around it? That's basically saying, "What are you gonna do, dude? Because I'm gonna fuck you up. You got no
Right.
chance in hell. I got these."
Right.
Now tell me, what does acknowledge me mean?
Acknowledge me means you better acknowledge me or you're going to get your ass whooped because I
Or,
got this
or
long track record of whooping asses. I'm the
oh, wait a
head of the
minute.
table.
Or how about
You know?
this? Like, I'm uncertain. I feel less than. I need people's approval. Approve me because I've been shit on by all you fans forever. I'm asking you to approve me.
Huh.
Please acknowledge me. Now, hold on. Now, let's fast forward to this vignette.
I don't see please on the shirt. Go ahead.
I get it.
Yeah.
He starts to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
What does Cody do? He steps in front of him.
Right. Right.
Right? Steps in front of him like,
Right.
no, I'll tell you, Roman, when you're going to leave
Right.
because I've beaten you and now you're
Right.
nothing. You are
Shoes on the other
garbage.
foot.
I'm
Shoes on the
not
other foot.
acknowledging you because you don't need to be acknowledged. You're
Right.
nothing now.
Right.
Cody Rhodes to me was the heel here. Roman
Right.
didn't change character, right? Roman is
No.
Roman. Cody Rhodes isn't like hugging babies. He's like, Roman, I'll tell you when you could leave. I'll
Right.
tell you when you could do this.
Right.
I'll tell you when they could do that.
Right.
Right? You're nothing.
Yeah. Well, when he said you're in my way, he did step back. You know? And then he gave him the final line, "You're in my way in life, motherfucker." You know,
But what,
I,
wait a
I,
minute.
I I don't
What
feel
does
like
that mean to you? What does that mean? You're in my way at life.
it means that he's become a total headache, obviously
How
beyond
about this?
proportion.
You've ruined my life.
Well, yeah.
You
Well,
took my family
Hasn't he
from me.
lost? Hasn't he lost everything? He's
But
lost
that's
everything.
Roman acknowledging that
Right.
Cody has taken
Right.
everything from him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he can't do anything about
I
it.
mean, but oddly enough, to me, I feel like Solo's taken even more from him than Cody. Solo's the one who wrecked his bloodline. Solo's the one who beat up his wise man. Solo's the one who put himself in charge. You know, Cody's just flexing his muscles because he should right now. I mean, he should be a strong face champion. We don't want a repeat of
No,
history. We don't
you
want,
definitely got to be a strong
you
face
know,
champion, but
yeah,
I think see, this is a very tricky portion, right? Because Cody is a very popular champion with the
yeah.
kids for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about the older, entertained
Some, probably
fans, right?
some,
But
yeah,
no doubt. So it's like, okay, this might not be good for business, right?
right.
Hogan, if you watch a documentary, at no time they asked Vince, was he ever going to turn Hogan heel? He said never.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena never want to turn that guy heel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Cody, like, do you really want to mess with him? Business is business, right? Do we really
Yeah.
want to mess with this
I'm
guy?
not even thinking about Cody having a heel turn anytime soon, to be honest, at all.
Do you think Cody
You
gets
know,
out of 2000 and well, no, Royal Rumble's in January, right? Do you
yeah.
think Cody gets to WrestleMania as the champion?
Logically, I don't buy all this rock stuff, and I'm not so sure that the WWE fans will either. Got to be careful here. Don't forget, at the end of the day, and especially now with Triple H, if the fans are like, "Get the Rock the fuck out of here," you're not putting the belt on the fucking Rock, and they start booing him and ruining his matches and crashing his matches with their opinion, then this shit won't work. We've seen it happen already. They were going to do that. We already had a WrestleMania change.
Dude, let me
All
ask you
right.
something. If they
Yeah.
didn't change to Cody and they went with The Rock, it still would have been a huge WrestleMania, dude. It would still have been the hugest WrestleMania of all time.
Bottom line
People
is,
would have
that
ate it.
they buckled and changed. We're not going to rewrite that. That's how it happened.
Well,
They
that's how it
buckled
happened.
and they changed,
Absolutely,
which means
absolutely.
that peer pressure, unfortunately, is worth more today now than ever. Do I approve of that? No, we've had these discussions, but it's real. All right. So it really depends on what they do. And if it doesn't make sense to the crowd, they're going to crash it, they're going to ruin it, and they're going to have to respond to it and change. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't see the only. I do want to see The Rock win that belt and side with Solo so Roman can take it from him. with the Usos coming back to him or whatever he does to, you know, counter this bloodline that blows. Because let's face it, outside of Jacob Fatu, and by the way, that makes me laugh. I hear this a lot. Jacob Fatu should be the leader of the bloodline. Listen, I agree. Solo is not very good. Okay, he's not very good on the microphone. Yada yada yada. But you're gonna what is Jacob gonna do? Can you imagine Jacob's promos?
Do you
What's
hate?
his
Wait a
promo
minute.
gonna
Do you
be?
hate the bloodline, or do you think they suck? Give me the right
This
conversation on
bloodline,
this.
this bloodline is annoying. Okay, they're good guys. They're good at it. I hate them. All right, I don't root for them. They have no cool factor.
Right. So
All right,
definitely
none.
heels.
They're
Real
heels,
heels. Yes,
completely,
real
totally
heels.
heels, but not even on a level of I don't know. Name me a great heel faction. Almost any great heel faction. They're not a great heel faction. They are very annoying, and I hate them. But I don't say to myself that these four will be around for years and years and years. I don't see that. They don't feel that way to me. Roman is already a face. That's what makes this whole thing with Cody so weird. But I like it because they're so opposite. I think that it gave us this great promo. I was saying 2 weeks ago, and you were surprised. I love them together, and then bam, we get this promo because they're so opposite of each other. They're fascinating together. It's a great mix of A and B. They couldn't be more different, but they also both have big aura. So it's great. But this bloodline, the current bloodline, I can't stand them. I mean, I'm like, ugh. What's going to
Listen,
happen
but
in
wait a
the
minute.
end here? The Rock needs to
But
join
that's what I'm
them.
saying. When The Rock
And
joins them,
right,
it
right.
all
Then we could
makes
get into
sense
that.
then, right?
Right,
It all
right,
makes sense then.
right. And listen, if it's written well and The Rock somehow sabotages Cody, but what do you do with Cody?
He
We're not
turns
sinking
heel.
that ship,
He
bro.
turns heel.
Why would he turn heel if he's just been
Because then
attacked
you
by
get
the
then
heels?
you get another year of
He
Cody
has to
Roman
have
Reigns.
someone to attack. Who is he turning heel on? Right?
Roman.
It's not. Can we let the Roman Rock thing play out first? That's got to play out where Roman has to
Right.
go after Rock.
So
All
in the
right.
meantime, you
But what do
put
you do with
Cody.
Cody in the meantime? You can't take someone
I'll
who's
give
done so
yeah.
much already and just put it to the side.
I'll tell you what you do with him. I mean, I
Ah,
think it would be smart writing. He loses the belt to Rock, right? He's now angry. He's in a WrestleMania event, and they put him in some sort of shitty match at WrestleMania, right?
oh, what are you doing that
Something that
for?
no,
What are you talking?
because why? Because now you want him to get mad. Are you kidding me? This is how you treat me now.
Why don't we
This is
do
what you
something?
do to me.
Why don't we do something a little smarter than that? Why don't we have after the Rock, defeats him? Why don't we have them beat him to a cinder block where he doesn't even make WrestleMania? He's injured and he's away.
And then he
Okay,
comes back. Why? As a heel? Why?
when he
Because he got
comes
hurt?
when he comes back, you have him jump. Who if Reigns is the champion, because Reigns will be at that point beloved for taking the belt off the evil Rock. Then you can have Cody if you want him to be a bad guy and you want to do this the right way. Have him disappear for a while. Absence always makes the heart grow fonder. And then have him come back and shock the shit out of everybody while Roman is popular. And wham, wham, wham. And then you get to see Cody's dark side, which he does have, by the way.
Well,
So
which
if
he
you're going to
does.
do this right.
Well, but
Do this
I think
right.
the right
Don't
way
just
is you
keep him
got
on the card and push him to the
no, but
side and
I
have him
think
wrestle somebody else.
I
That
think
would
you
not
got to
work.
put him in that Drew McIntyre thing. Like I'm being shit on.
Okay.
You are
Okay,
now shitting on me.
But McIntyre was being shit on by being put in a program with Punk.
I get it, but you
You
can
got to
do
give me
that with
somebody. As
Cody.
long as you give me somebody that's not off to the side, and Cody has still got
All right,
spotlight, and Cody is still working with
I'm going to give
another
you
top guy,
I'll
then
give you a more
fine.
obvious one. Put
Yeah,
Cody on a massive losing streak. He keeps on every
don't do
match gets
that.
interfered and he
No,
keeps losing.
no, I don't want that. What are we doing, Braun Breaker? I don't know. No,
You
shoulders getting
gotta
pinned to the mat matter.
there's got to be
Okay,
there has to be
right,
a
right.
spark to start the
Well,
heel
we'll have
turn.
to see what happens. I mean, first things first. Let's see if The Rock really does
Yeah,
come and
well,
do
that
all of
again,
this.
yeah, we're all talking stuff.
You know?
All right, so we're here now, right? So
Yeah,
coming off of this, we're both saying this possibly could have been the greatest promo of
it's one
all
of
time.
them. It
So
was. It was
Jimmy and I
great.
were speaking. We're like, okay, let's go over our top 10 promos, right? And uh,
Okay.
I made a list. Jimmy looked it over. He was somewhat in agreement. He has some other like things he'll probably bring up on here. But
Yeah.
again, it's good to hear the whole chat in here, and let's decide where we are on this. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna open up with number 10. 1 second. Yeah.
Where the hell are my cats? Oh, they're on the bed. Oh, hey guys.
Jimmy, I love you, Jimmy.
They're behaving not like Dan's cats who just like, invade and jump on the
Just
camera
attack
and
them. They're like, yeah,
yeah,
they're all
yeah.
over
My
that
my
guy.
cats are disciplined.
Mick Foley, 1995 ECW Kane Dewey promo.
I'm surprised you put this on the list, to be honest. I mean,
I'll
but
I'll I'll, ex- I'll explain why. Let me read it,
right.
and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 10, we've got Mick Foley's Kane Dewey promo in ECW. A promo filled with rage and raw emotion. Foley directed his
Mm,
anger towards a fan after
mhm.
seeing a sign in the crowd that said Kane Dewey being his
Right.
son.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
reason again, I was not an ECW guy.
He
I'll be
went
the first
nuts.
one to
Yeah.
first admit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you watch the promo, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
If you
There you go.
watch the ECW documentary,
Yeah.
that is the promo that finally convinced Mr. McMahon to
Cool.
bring Mick Foley
Very
to
cool.
to the WWE.
Yeah.
He was not a Mick Foley fan, neither was I. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
honest. And
Mm-hmm.
I think he told Jim Ross,
Mm-hmm.
um, basically, yeah, we'll bring him in, but don't let him see his face. So I know you're not a huge fan of this promo, but explain to me
No,
why you're not or why you
no,
are.
no. The promo was cool, and I remember it, but I don't. It's not a landmark promo to me. It is cool that that's the one that got him brought to WWE. That's cool. But I've always been skeptical about that one. And let me put it this way: what if I told you that I think that Heyman's nephew was the guy in the stands, and he put up the sign, and Heyman told Mick beforehand, "Listen, I'm going to do this, so don't be and do your best with it." And that's what I think that's really what was going on there. I think that sign was a plant. Who the hell in their right mind in an ECW and those were small. The wrestler could get to you and beat the shit out of you. By the way, all
I
right,
know,
hey,
yeah.
you just sit there, Kane, your son.
But
You
dude,
sick
think about it.
bastard.
If it wasn't the thing that you said, which could definitely be true, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
It was his nephew,
How
Jaime.
cool is that? How cool is someone has a sign that says Kane
It's
Dewey?
great.
I mean, come
It's
on,
it's
man.
dude, it's great. I mean, ECW was the first company. Imagine you know how I find shit funny, okay? I still remember the first time I heard from a crowd, "You fucked up.
Yeah,
You fucked up."
right,
I was losing my shit because it happened in ECW. That's where I
right,
saw it. I was like, and Sabu goes to the what? Like, when he would try to jump on the rope and he would
right,
bam,
right, right.
you fucked up. And they love Sabu, but they're still doing it. You fucked up. You fucked up. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I was like, what is
Yeah, well,
this?
we're not in
You
Kansas
know?
anymore, Jimmy. Far
Yeah.
cry from
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden
Listen,
and just
on
going,
on a
yay.
pro on a oh no, no. This is definitely not Fuji and Saito bowing to each other. No. By the way, a lot of people were mad that night. Can I point that out?
Yeah, you did. You pointed it out
they
right now.
they were mad. But on a promo level,
Oh shit. Oh no. All right, there he is. Sorry, was that me that knocked you
that was
out?
you. That was not me.
Dude, I got to tell you, production today,
Why am I looking at
F.
Ralphus? What the hell? Oh,
Because
you're
at
out
number
of here.
9, Chris Jericho, 1,004 holds. Number 9 takes us to WCW and the charismatic Chris Jericho, during his
Ah.
feud with Dean Malenko. Jericho read off a list of 1,004 holes, a hilarious over-the-top performance showing his comedic. Now, dude, come on.
It was great, great. The left toe limb lock, left toe limb lock. No, I mean I'm just throwing one out there. But my God, Jericho, man, he was amazing. Jericho was one of the greatest talkers ever, and nobody very few people were funnier than Jericho when you think about it. We maybe one day we'll do a comedic promos and probably find Jericho at the top of almost everyone. You know, that was a great one.
But you know what's amazing? Like, I guarantee people are out there right now going, "Are you kidding me? That can't be in
No,
the top 10."
I
But
can see why it wouldn't be. I actually probably wouldn't
you
be
can
in
see
mine.
why it should be. It could be, should be
Yeah,
too,
no, it's
right?
great. Look, Jericho's great, man. No qualms there. But of course, I have a couple that I'm going to save for the end. I think if I don't hear them.
I will say this:
Yeah.
as you go on in life, you just always seem to remember the now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about, like,
Mm-hmm.
just talking about that Jericho promo,
Right.
was laughing
Well,
because at the time it was the most hilarious
right.
friggin' thing you
Right.
ever heard, right?
Right. But here's the beauty of it: as he's doing this and reading all of these off, somehow he's putting Malenko over.
Oh
Everybody
yeah,
knows. Everybody knows Malenko was a machine. You know
right,
what I'm saying? And here
right.
he is somehow with comedy, getting a chuckle, yet still putting over the opponent. Jericho is one of the all-time greatest, man. He really is in so many different ways. I wish he
Yeah,
would
and
stop.
he's quickly ruining his
I
legacy. I'm
well, see,
sorry.
there we go again. Like I said, 100 years from now, I don't think that they'll be studying the Fat Chris Jericho matches at the last year of his life, which is
You mean the learning
wrestling
tree?
life.
The learning
Yeah, yeah,
tree and that
no,
whole
no,
gimmick, like,
no, no,
"Hi,
yeah,
guys." That
yeah.
is maybe the most
I
annoying thing, and
it's
if you're gonna
yeah,
turn to me and go, "Well,
yeah,
that's what it's supposed to do," no, it's just
no,
annoying. It's
no.
annoying enough that I turn off my
No,
television. Goodbye,
no,
get out of here.
that's where Vince would usually, sure. Sometimes Vince himself was jumping the shark, but usually Vince would reel somebody in and go, not that, So
Alright, at number 7, Jake the Snake Roberts, WrestleMania 6, 1990 promos. It's 6, right?
Jake,
Uh, and here we are, number 7 on the
mm-hmm,
list, Jake the Snake Roberts promo, WrestleMania 6.
yeah,
Nobody, I mean, nobody could cut a cold, chilling promo like Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake was, what I remember. I can't paraphrase word for word his delivery on that promo, but Jake was like Clint Eastwood to me. It was that kind of style, always deadpan, monotone, very serious, very serious. You believed at the end of the promo that the other guy is going to need a cemetery plot, and he would do it without raising his voice. He had that tone in his voice, and he had that serious look on his face, and he was really one of a kind. He was Batman. It was almost like Batman the way he would talk. It was just and not the Batman that.
Well, that's
He was,
that's a funny thing, Jimmy. You're 100%
yeah,
right. It's like now that we've moved on, people don't
yeah.
remember that Jake was the
Oh,
original like badass promo guy, right? It's
he
like that
was.
guy was badass.
He was badass, and you really believed him. And like I said, he came across like Clint Eastwood, like that certain kind of level of being able to say your lines. He was one scary dude, and you knew he meant business. I wouldn't fight him. Fuck that.
Dude,
You know.
I mentioned it before, but I remember when they used to have those 1-800 numbers, and the WWE had 1-800 numbers, and Jake the Snake Roberts was on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I dial up, and he's smoking. Like, you could tell he's
Right.
smoking on the phone. He's like,
Right.
because he's purposely making it,
Right.
exaggerated so he's
Right.
smoking. And I'm
Right.
like, oh my
Right.
god, I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, a
Right.
wrestler's smoking, and
Right.
I was
Yeah.
like totally enamored by the guy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy, I mean,
You know what?
good,
It's funny. I'm thinking to myself, Jake the Snake, the character that we're talking about, the cigarette smoking was not really the character, but it was part of who he was.
right?
Jake the Snake, the character. You know who Jake the Snake, the character, really was it to me in real life? I'm just realizing this now because we know about Jake behind the scenes. We know what a mess he was. We try to have him on. He's not the guy we saw on promos. You know who was the guy in real life? Dr. D. David Schultz.
Yeah,
That guy was the real Jake the Snake Roberts in real life. Now I know that I'm coming out of left field with this, but I really believe that Jake the Snake, everything that he don't like what David did to John Stossel is what the character Jake Roberts would have done to John Stossel, if that makes any sense. You feel that? It's an
absolutely.
open hand slap. You crying? Good. You know what I mean? It's just a man of few words, but don't mess with him. And that's that's how Dr. D. David Schultz rubbed me in real life. He's the real snake.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, great promo
Hold
though.
on a
Jake was
second.
great. He was great.
Let me make
Not
sure I got
exactly,
this.
not exactly heroes of wrestling level though.
No,
Win,
not
win,
exactly heroes of
win,
wrestling.
win.
That's for
Check out
sure.
Damien. He's a wiener. Horrible. What a
It's so
horror
funny.
show. Heroes of Wrestling. God, folks, if you've never seen that traffic accident, go find it. And then yell at me
Num-
afterwards for telling you to.
Number 7, Dusty Rhodes, Hard Times, 1985.
This could be higher. This could be higher. Dusty Rhodes was probably one of the top 5 greatest talkers that ever lived in this business.
Is this
This
his
is the
greatest promo of all time?
He had so many great ones, but this is his most famous one. I mean, it's his most famous one. He had so many great ones. He was the he was out. He represented every truck driver, every regular person that goes to work, everything. And nobody embodied it better than Dusty, you know. And there's so many different reasons for that. Number one, he didn't have the Adonis look. He looked like a truck driver. He looked like the guy who would hop out of the thing and go in and buy out of the truck and buy a case of beer, toss it back in. Hard times. You could relate to him. His character seemed that way. Meanwhile,
I
in
got,
real life,
I got to stop you there. I got to
Dusty's
ask you a
blowing all his
question
money.
because
But
I don't want to forget about this.
yeah,
In the McMahon docu series, right? In
yeah,
the first episode, they speak about when he buys the WWF at the time from
hmm
Senior,
yeah,
and he's now got to take the belt off of Backlund because he already in his head said this is not the guy that I can go on with.
hmm
So his first choice, I don't know if his first choice was Dusty Rhodes. His second choice was Kerry Von Erich, right?
right.
So I'm going to ask you. So Hogan was not his first or second choice, okay? So I'm going to ask you this,
You're talking senior, junior,
Junior.
junior. Okay.
This is Junior, right?
Yeah,
So
go
he's
ahead.
going to go. He's going to go for the mass expansion.
Yeah.
Dusty number 1, Kerry Von Erich
I'm
number 2.
surprised they even considered Dusty, considering he put him in polka dots a few years later. But go ahead.
So here's my question to you.
Yeah.
From what they have Cody on there, and Cody says the story he always knew is that Dusty didn't believe that Vince can do it, so he didn't do it. Here's
Hmm.
my question to you.
Yeah.
Dusty says yes.
Yeah.
Is Vince successful?
Where does Hogan go? Where's Hogan?
Hogan, well, who knows? You don't know where Hogan goes. You got to go under the premise that Dusty Rhodes is going to be the, world
Well,
champion.
well, I would say this much: if he went with Dusty Rhodes and it's 1985, it would work for a while because Dusty was DE in entertainment also. So if Vince was looking from an entertainment perspective and wanted a face that could deliver the promos and deliver the big matches, yeah, Dusty would have worked for a while. Thank God it didn't turn out that way though, because Hogan obviously. Look, I don't like to change history. Hogan went on a run, 9 straight WrestleManias or whatever it was. I stop. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, what if Babe Ruth had stayed with the
No,
Red Sox?
I always think to
You know?
myself, this Jimmy though, I always think
Yeah.
sometimes you're better to be lucky than good all the time.
Right.
And I truly believe, and again, who's a bigger fan of Kerry Von Erich than me, right?
Right.
If Kerry Von Erich
That
was
wouldn't have
tagged to
worked.
be our champion,
That wouldn't
no
have worked.
way.
No,
If Dusty
it wouldn't
Rhodes
have
was
worked.
tagged, it would not have worked. It
I don't think.
would
I don't
not have
think
worked.
so. I don't think so. Ultimately, I mean, he might have been able to get away with it for a couple of years, but
I
where
don't even
is
give it years,
Hogan?
Jimmy. I got to be honest with you.
See, where
I
is
would give it
Hogan?
months. I
This
would give it
goes back to
months.
look. My memory is sometimes really good, and I can go back to the days of Rocky III and Hogan. Hogan was already at the top of my list, and he wasn't even there yet. I had seen him as a heel previously, and then Rocky III came out, and I just drooled at the prospect of Hogan ever coming back. I was paying attention to the AWA. I was paying attention to Hogan. Already was. So when Hogan got here, I was like, thank God. There is no replacement for what Hulk Hogan was to the business, especially by the time he's there in 1985. You're talking about Babe Ruth. And it doesn't matter if you like him or you don't. It's just who he was.
All I'm trying to
You know?
say is if Vince was talking and he said, well, I thought about a bunch of guys, but ultimately I really
Right.
wanted Hogan, right? That's a
Right.
different story. But
Right.
when you hear he wanted Dusty
Right.
and Dusty turned him down, he
Right.
wanted Kerry, but Fritz
Right.
said no.
Well, thank God that Dusty thought way too much of himself. I got
No,
to be
I
honest.
agree. I agree.
Thank
All I'm
God.
saying to
You
myself is,
know?
could you imagine what would have happened?
I can't really. I mean, who's the first? Then we got to go back to the time period. Who's the first opponents for Dusty? Who's Dusty main eventing the first WrestleMania with? Roddy? Those would be killer promos.
Uh,
But
I
I
don't
don't
think
want to
so.
change anything. I
I
don't
don't
want to
think so.
change anything. Long term, Dusty had a few more years left where he could be where he was, and that
All
was
right.
it. Hogan
All
was a
right.
younger man who had a whole career ahead of him. The right
All
choice
right,
was
man.
made.
Number
Yeah.
6, with a tear in my eye,
Oh, great, great.
the Nature Boy Ric Flair is the WWF champion.
Yeah, great. That's great. I can see that being in anybody's top 10. And it's funny, too, because he's had a lot of great promos, though, obviously, Flair, but this one happens to be, was this coming off the greatest Royal Rumble match ever? Is that what this one was coming off of?
That's what I think. It's your favorite Royal Rumble
Yeah,
match,
to
that's
me
for
it
sure.
is. Yeah, yeah.
I think this was actually Ric Flair's greatest highlight ever in
It
his
was amazing.
entire career.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
for
it was
him
great.
personally too, I'd be shocked if he didn't say this was the greatest thing that ever happened in his wrestling
Right,
career.
right. I'm not sure when he started spitting out the limo flying jet riding stuff if there's an actual definitive.
I think
Probably
that was in
is.
Georgia Champion in Mid
Because
Atlantic. He was pulling that
it
crap
could
off.
easily be that too. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know,
Flair,
dude. I remember
you
when
know.
he won that Rumble, I was in shock. Number one, I
Oh,
did
I
not
wasn't.
believe it.
I wasn't.
You really tagged him to win it, huh?
Yeah,
And
I
when he
felt
came out at number one, you said he's still winning.
once he started hiding, I was like, because I had never seen that before either. Let's be honest. I was like, once he started hiding, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna win this. He's gonna hide half the match, and Heenan
With a
played it
tear in
beautifully.
my eye.
The best was Heenan during it. Where is he? Where is he? I've got my house on this. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, it was fucking great. Great
Fucking Heenan,
promo.
dude. How great was Heenan, dude?
Oh, Heenan was the best. I think I told you,
All right.
Heenan and
Many
Monsoon.
people may strangle me on this one.
All right.
Number 5, the pipe bomb. Coming from number 5, we got the most infamous promos of all time, CM Punk's pipe bomb, where he
Right.
broke the fourth wall and airing his grievances about the WWE.
Well, I got to see what else is to come, but I have no issue when somebody says the pipe bomb's in the top 5 all time. So I'm not angry about it. He should be in the top 5. This promo was so important on so many different levels because he basically just sat down and said what he really felt, and we weren't used to that. That had never really been done on this level before. He's sitting there calling Triple H a big nosed bastard, and Stephanie and Vince. He's calling them all dumbasses and screw this place. And I'd never seen anything like that before. Punk laid out the foundation of his whole entire career. He pulled his Sex Pistols. He was basically pulling a Sex Pistols. He became the outcast, the outlaw, the guy who does things by his own rules. And his leaving the WWE led to independence, and he paid attention to, and closing credits. It led to
Sorry
closing
about that.
credits.
Sorry about that.
Your glasses are probably to the left of you if you look.
No,
close.
dude, I was trying,
You
as
know?
you were talking, I was trying to
Yeah.
get it ready, and I
Yeah.
fucking hit the wrong
Oh
button,
God,
as
Pharaoh's
usual.
going on. I think I'll just
No, not at all. I was enjoying what you were saying because I wanted to ask you. I was like, you know what? Let me ask you this though. So
Yeah.
it's a promo, but was it really a promo? Like
Yes.
that was my only problem with it. It was
Of
more
course
like,
it's a promo. Of course it's a promo. I mean, I'm sure that Vince had some knowledge.
oh, no, of
Okay.
course it did. But
You
like
know?
when you think about promos, and
Yeah.
you're 100% right. It's a great promo.
It's
But it's
great.
like I just thought to myself,
Very
like it was
important
like
too.
it was real. Okay, that was the question I had for you.
Very important.
Was it so? Is it so recognized to you because it was great or because it was important?
Both. It was great. It was great. It was beautifully delivered. I mean, that guy knew where every camera was. How about when he would turn? And look, the guy's sitting Indian style. By the way, physical body language too. What the
Yeah.
hell's going on here? He's literally sitting Indian style and getting all of his bad juju out. I mean, and like knowing where to look at the cameras and stuff like that when he called out his buddy. The hell's that guy's name that he
So
had the lawsuit with? He just turns and waves to him.
interesting
know?
thing here's an interesting thing you just said
Yeah.
to me, right? So you said, of course, Vince knew some of it or knew something about it.
Yeah.
Vince had to know everything about it. Okay, they knew exactly what he was going to say.
Okay.
There's no way they
sure.
didn't. Okay, so now I'm going to
know.
drag this. Now I'm going to drag this to you. Can you see
Mhm.
my finger? I'm sure I got my finger on this camera. Ready? I'm going to do
Yeah.
this.
Are you doing WCW from Bret Hart? God, that was great.
Right now, I want to
that was
ask you this
great.
question:
Mm-hmm.
Would
That was great.
WWE cameras allow that to be on if they didn't know this all was going to happen. And this goes to my theory. I don't know how they've kept it a secret, and it's amazing at this point.
Vince was too busy in the realness of the moment. I'm sorry. I don't think that everything was just like, okay, this is what you're gonna do, and you're gonna leave me, and then you're gonna come back 10 years, 11 years later.
Well,
No, I'm
no,
not
but I
buying
what
any
I
of
what
that.
I what I think
I don't
happened
think
was
Vince
he
would like stop the camera because he drew WCW in the air. No, I think that that's what happened.
you
I think that was
focus. Wait a
part of
minute,
it.
it's your pay per view. You
Yeah,
just screwed the guy, and you're
yeah.
going to keep the camera on him.
Well, he's not. Don't forget, Vince is not sitting up in the position in the truck right now. Vince has got spit coming off of his face because
So
he
what
just
you what
made
you're trying
sure
to
that
say?
his.
It's one of the all time great mistakes by a production company. Then
Actually,
it
it
ended up
probably
being
said
great.
I don't think it was a mistake. I think Vince intently wanted this to be look just. I think Vince, at the end of the day, even with his black eye, was like, "Yes." That's what I think.
Oh,
Controversy.
absolutely. The way it turned out, you're
Yeah,
100% right. But my
I think
point is,
Vince
some of the things that
took the punch and
happen.
everything. I think Vince
Well, he
was
talks
willing to
about it.
take a
He talks
shot.
about it. He talks about it in the
Yeah.
docuseries. All right, I
Mm-hmm.
cheated on this one. Number 4, the
Mm-hmm.
Randy Savage Cream of the Crop 1987 promo,
Right.
and then
Right.
the Hulk Hogan I Hate You
Right.
WrestleMania 5 promo.
That's
Thoughts
one of them.
on this promo being ahead of the pipe bomb at number 4?
As far as importance goes, it doesn't weigh ahead of the pipe bomb. But as far as a great promo goes, come on, this is Randy. Randy was. By the way, I'm not surprised Randy passed away young. Do you ever stop to take a look at how much Randy is sweating during these promos? That's
Oh,
all
there's
coke.
no, you know what, Jimmy?
Oh,
You're so effing smart. That guy, the stress that he put on his body just speaking and
yeah,
staying in the, that guy had to live that role the whole time. That
absolutely.
pressure on his
Oh,
heart, it's over,
no,
man.
you could almost feel that he's going to explode. Like if he had
Yeah.
exploded on camera, I would have been a Daffy Duck. Like I can only perform this trick
Dude, the
once.
I
You
Hate You
know?
Hulk Hogan promo,
Oh my
his
God!
eyes are fucking
It's
blood
look
red by the
if
time he takes his glasses off.
yeah,
He's sweating and red. There
and
was
Coke the
real
house.
hatred in there. He
Yeah.
did hate Hulk
Oh,
Hogan.
he did.
And
Yeah,
he made
great,
me feel like he hated Hulk Hogan.
great. It's great stuff. I could see that being somebody's number one. The I hate you, Hulk Hogan. I could see
All right,
that.
well, when we get through the list, I want to see what you would replace and what you
Right.
wouldn't replace, right?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, so we're at number 3. And I'm sorry, I feel very strongly about this one. The
Mm-hmm.
Rock, This Is Your Life, 1999. It was between This and Your Life and You Look Terrible Tonight, right?
Oh, I love the one where he's singing to Vicky
Oh
Guerrero.
my
That's
God, right.
fantastic.
But this one I
Yeah,
had to give
but
the upper hand. The Rock's
well,
This Is Your Life segment with Mankind in 1999.
well, don't forget too. I think this is the highest rated segment of like ever.
Ever,
Or I mean,
ever
what are
on
we talking?
Raw.
This is
Raw's
your life. This is your life. Rock was amazing. I mean, everything about it was as perfect as the when they tried to do it years later. Was it with a who did they try to do it with? It was
Alexa
horrible.
Bliss. It was
Right,
it, it was
horrible.
it was
Every
terrible.
last thing about This Is Your Life, Rock was a winner. It was funny as could be. The Rock still got to be a complete prick. I loved how he got to tell off everybody. Yeah, The Rock remembers you. You didn't let The Rock get to second base.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's like
And
you wanted The Rock.
How long was that promo? 25 minutes?
Yeah, it's
It
probably
was
at
up
least a
there.
good 15 to 20, I would say.
Let me tell you something. You know it's a good promo when you could sit there and watch it and not even blink an
Yeah,
eye, right?
it was
Going
amazing.
going back to okay. So far we're at number 3. You've
Yeah,
heard the list.
yeah. This Is
Does
Your
the
Life,
Cody
Rock
Rhodes
belongs.
Roman Reigns deserve a better spot than any of the ones we've named so far?
Have we haven't placed it anywhere yet, correct? I mean, we only
No,
talked
but
about it.
you've
We
heard
haven't
the
placed
list.
it.
We still got 2 and 1 to go.
I don't know, but I definitely feel comfortable saying it's a top 10 promo. I don't know where I would put it, but I'm already comfortable with saying that Rhodes Reigns promo is one of the greatest promos I've ever seen. It's funny. I watched it with Karen, and when it went off, I said that was fucking great, and she's like, "Yeah, that was." And
You didn't
that's
even have to be a fan
yeah,
to enjoy that.
that's a great promo. My
And Jimmy,
God.
I was thinking to myself, it was so good. And since the WWE is kind of actors now, it
Hmm.
really should be up for some kind of movie or like short award, you know?
Sure, why not? It was a masterpiece of for a short film.
Hollywood Hogan's 1996 heel turn,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Let me see here. Where
Yeah.
he turned on the fans and he tells the fans to stick it.
Yep.
You know what you could do? You could stick it.
You
Number
fans can
two.
you fans can stick it, brother. This is the most important promo in the history of this business. And yeah, here I go. Wait, let me go mount my Hulk Hogan horse. Here we go. But it's the truth though, because when Hogan did this, all right, Hogan himself was genuinely afraid to do this because when you've been Captain America in the eyes of your fan base and in the eyes of the country for how many years, to actually suddenly become the Joker, to become something that evil had to weigh on him greatly, but he did it. He dropped the leg on Savage. By the way, the commentary was amazing. There's that son of a bitch. They were just, oh my God. The fans, the garbage, the physical amount of garbage that was thrown into the ring. And Hogan, to his credit, whatever butterflies he might have had, must have left completely once he dropped that leg. Because I still remember the power and gravel in his voice. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, you people, and he just kept saying, if it wasn't for, if it wasn't for, if it wasn't for, and he was bringing up one example after another as to how we got to this moment in time. If it wasn't for me with WrestleMania, if it wasn't for me with movies, if it wasn't for me, and he was like, and you know what? I'm bored. You fans can stick it, brother. Holy shit. Meanwhile, standing behind him the whole time is Nash and Hall, and Nash is doing the posing. Remember that? And
Yep.
Hall's like, they were taking Hulkamania and all your hopes and dreams and saying your prayers and your vitamins and taking a huge dump on it. And the garbage is just flying. And then Gene, I think with that famous line, don't touch me, I've got a fleet of lawyers. You've seen the garbage being thrown at you. You really want to associate with these men? Holy crap. Everything about that. And if that promo
Ju-
doesn't happen, we don't have the Monday Night Wars. We don't have the Attitude Era. We don't have Stone Cold. We don't have The Rock. We don't have everything that happened with the NWO. We don't have any of it. It's all changed. And all because Babe Ruth decided to become Darth Vader.
Well,
Wow.
that's the one great thing
You
about the
know?
Vince McMahon docuseries, dude, is like you hear the wrestlers tell these stories, right, on their side or what they saw. You
Mm-hmm.
never got to hear Vince McMahon tell his side of it. And they
Mm-hmm.
ask him, "Do you regret never turning Hogan heel?" And he said,
Right.
"No." He said,
That
"That
was that
wasn't
was
the
a bit of a
deal.
mistake.
Hogan was a
Yeah.
hero." They asked
Yeah.
him, "It wasn't a mistake," and he's like, "Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Obviously,
That
right?"
was that was definitely a mistake. Hogan
All right,
once
the
again
num
changed everything.
the number one greatest promo of all time. Austin 316 just whooped your ass.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I don't think it's the greatest promo of all time, but I can see why it would be in somebody's top five just on importance. When it happened, it was not like it was almost like a passing thing. I don't think that at that point the ratings were there. What it is the point of origin for the character that he became.
Well,
All
I
right. If he
think I
doesn't
think you hit
drop
on the
that,
head
if he doesn't,
because people that was that
yeah,
era where people were like, and they
right,
really weren't paying much attention.
right,
But then you're right. That's
right.
where it does that switch over,
Right. That's
right?
why it can't be for me number one, but I can understand on a historical importance level, it could be in someone's top five because it was a great promo and it was really the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin, but the progress hadn't happened yet. This was just happening then. It wasn't enormous like when Hogan dropped the leg. When Hogan dropped the leg, the whole landscape of wrestling changed right at that moment. It was like, oh my God. And you got the fans flipping out, you got the wrestlers freaking out, everything.
Well, I think to
Totally
be
different.
fair though, you have an icon, an
Right.
established icon against a guy who
Right.
eventually becomes an icon,
Becomes
right?
an icon. Right, right. Now the two that I would bounce are up at the back end of this list. The Dewey one and unfortunately the Jericho one, as much as I love it. And I would probably replace them with these two for their importance, and especially one particular one because it was not just a great promo, it was also incredibly important. And that's of course when Razor Ramon invades WCW. He's not Scott Hall yet. Okay, he comes in and he's
Well,
talking like
he's real,
Razor.
but he's really nobody, right? He's just
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah, but he's really Razor because he's talking like Razor. You know who I am. He's doing
right.
Razor.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and everybody knew who he was. They were like, "Shit, that's Razor Ramon." So when Scott Hall invades WCW and does the "You Know Who I Am, What You Don't Know is what I'm doing here" promo, that is incredibly important in this business and changed everything because it was the first seed for the NWO to come and Hogan dropping the leg. So that to me is huge. That
But
should be in the
you,
top 10.
I agree with you in the
It's more
importance
important
level.
than Dewey and Jericho.
But
Sorry,
no, but
that's where I'm going with that.
what I'm trying to say though,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like, does it have a long lasting effect on you
Oh
that you
God.
remember it? Like,
Oh
I
sure.
remember it when you bring it up,
I
but when I
watch
think
it.
about promos, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah, I still like to watch it because he comes in through the crowd. I love it. It's something that I'll always
I
go
mean,
back
I'm
and
not
watch.
saying it shouldn't be on someone's top 10
Oh,
list.
he should. Yeah, I think he should be.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And the other one is not on that level, but it was still very, very, very important. I just bought WCW when
Yeah,
Shane McMahon did that down in Panama City Beach, by the way.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
when Shane comes into Nitro and all of a sudden he's on the camera, I'm like, what the? I just bought WCW. I'm like, oh my God. You know, that was an incredible one. And on importance, I'm going to have to remove Jericho and Dewey. Sorry, Mick. But that's
Listen,
what I would
I
do.
totally get it,
And there's probably a bunch more.
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are so much like
Yeah.
if you talked about just great vignettes, I mean, fuck.
Hmm.
If you just go to Mr. Perfect catching his own football pass, I mean, you remember that for the rest of your
what?
life, right?
What about Ted DiBiase kicking the basketball
Oh
away?
my God. My
You know?
God. You know what? In fact, I
Yeah.
would almost say I would love to be that to be on the list, but that wasn't like a vignette. That's why I didn't put it on.
Right, right.
It
It's
was
not
like an
really a
episode.
promo. It's more of a skit.
But I
Right.
mean,
I
Mr.
got you.
Perfect, the throwing the football and
It's
catching it
the
100
basketball.
yards. Yeah,
I
it's
love
like,
the basketball one.
dude, everything that guy does. Anyway, we got to get to the 9 o'clock show where it's going to be a
Yeah.
little more
And
serious
I
talk.
need a cigarette. I'm not allowed smoking here, so.
I think it was great conversation, Jimmy.
Yeah.
We had some really good thoughts. I thought you were fantastic.
Ah, you too.
I love your feed
Thank
foot.
you.
And
Oh, thank you.
all right, brother. And I'll see you at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, you've been watching Monte in the Pharaoh.
Bye.